commentary. So, starting off for today, we're playing Wood Elves into High Elves, with our other faction being Chaos. Taking the Swift Shiver Shards, Aerocrastic says that they're good apparently. And I think they should do okay if we're trying to rush our opponent here, which we are. But there is a bit of the worry that we don't have enough infantry to actually get on top of those Lothern Sea Guard. But let's see if we can spread out a bit. Just to... Oh, he's sniping out Drycha. We're going to spread out our infantry just a tiny bit. So that... Oh man, I should be dodging more with Drycha. We're spreading them out a tiny bit so that they can actually close in on the High Elf lines. Oh, there we go. We finally dodged one. And going wide will help us actually shut down these archers. Let's try to dodge that one. Oh my gosh, a Lithanar. How could you be so accurate? Let's see how these Swift Shiver Shards do, though. Looks like the Lothern Sea Guard have turned. Man, the Lithanar is so annoying. Ooh, there's some chariots coming in too. That's bad. But at the very least, the backline is sort of exposed, so we're going to try abusing that. Meanwhile, we'll get the fighting going. And I'm going to try to sneak through this backline. Let's see here. Immediately, I'm feeling that we're misplaying this tremendously. But no matter. Let's see here. We've nearly shut down the Lithanar. We're closing in on the backline. Swift Shivers are doing a lot to the ranged High Elf units. But our cavalry is taking a lot of damage. There are a million spears here. In the form of Lothern Sea Guard. And let's see if we can get a summon over here and then close in on these sisters. Hopefully that does okay. Let's see, Swift Shivers. We don't want to be firing into shielded units. Instead, we're going to be turning them to base to shoot at. Oh god, I can't think. We're gonna turn them to shoot at the sides of these range units. We also want these Glade Captains to, I guess, snipe out the heroes and the casters here. And we'll use pendulums to deal with any infantry that we can't shut down normally. So there we go. Some successes there. These chariots are causing a lot of problems though. But at least a Lithanar looks like he's having some trouble. Let's see, we want this Glade Captain out of the spears. And hopefully we can take him out. Let's see, a Lithanar can be pretty slippery. And it's also very important that we shut down all these Lothern Sea Guard, who are causing a lot of problems for me. Let's see, I'm also not sure which Lithanar is his clone. Presumably this one, since he's charging headfirst into danger. And then we can... Yeah, so assuming that we know which one is the clone, we can get our Glade Captains in to hopefully shut him down. Yep, the one that's running. Definitely the one that we want to deal with. Looks like a burning head is coming in, but placed a little bit off center means that will miss us by quite a bit. Finally, we have another unit of Dryads that we can summon. So we'll throw that down there, chase after that caster. And then I guess use our Swift Shivers to shoot more Lothern Sea Guard. Lithanar still running. But we have a lot of the archers shut down. Is it enough though? I'm not sure. Let's see here. These the chariots too are causing a lot of havoc. And let's see here. We're still having a hard time catching a Lithanar. He's dancing through his spears, which is good play for my opponent. And let's see. I think that's basically our only way of salvation. If we can shut down these chariots and actually start getting some of these High Elf forces to rout by killing their leadership, then I think we'll be good. But man, is he slippery. Let's get the second Glade Captain. We've split them up so that they can better chase him. But our front lines are starting to fall apart. Luckily, our Glade Captains can still fire at a Lithanar while they run around. And Drycha is a pretty good fighter herself. So we do expect him to go down. We have our Swift Shivers online. And as soon as he's out, then we'll be feeling much better. But we're running out of infantry. And one of our Glade Captains is caught up. A Pendulum should be able to free her. We'll put those guys on fire at will, so that they can get a little bit more damage in. And hopefully our Glade Captain can escape. But that's looking a little bit difficult. See, more Lothern Sea Guard are coming back. And this Glade Captain is looking to be on the verge of routing. How I wish that I had taken some healing here. But surprisingly enough, balance of power is in our favor. Swift Shiver shards are holding up okay. And we have a little bit of cavalry left. Let's see if we can make them not rout instantly. See, we're charging them in, and we want to get into the backs of those Lothern Sea Guard. There we go. Drycha still good. And we can use our captains to start chasing off these guys. Swift Shivers can shoot in the backs of these spears. And suddenly things are looking better for us. I'm not sure where the High Elf caster went though. But whatever, as long as they're gone, I guess we're good. And there we go. With our small amounts of mobility left, I think we might actually be able to pull a win here. We've charged those spearmen in the back, which means that they'll be getting a lot of leadership penalties and hopefully routing soon. And we still have a decently healthy Glade Captain with some Wild Hunters of Kurnos. It's nice. Now we're going to take off fire at will to save ammunition. And we're going to bring these guys up to deal with these Sea Guard. Let's get another volley in. Actually, let's get it on the Silverin. Oh, I didn't even realize they were Silverin. Whoops. Yeah, we're going to get it on them. And we also want our captain to be chasing off these melee troops, the infantry of the High Elves, since they're actually still at pretty high HP and we really don't want them to come back. Drycha, you can cast Enfeebling Foe, since I don't think we'll have enough Winds of Magic for another Pendulum. And if we can chase this group of units off, I think we're good, even if Drycha does die here. We'll be getting in a lot of damage though, while they try to finish her off. Let's turn on fire at will now that those guys are being chased. And then let's keep chasing off these guys. Looks like Drycha is indeed about to die. And something else that's about to die is my mouse, which has stopped reading inputs. Okay, nice. But it looks like it's back. Thank goodness for that. And let's see if our Glade Captain here can carry out the win, because aside from her, we don't have a lot left. It looks like we got another one of these guys to rout. Let's turn off fire at will and begin chasing off those units. Oh my gosh, this is a real close game. And if these Deepwood Scouts don't get caught, then I think we're in a good position. These guys are turning to chase my Deepwood Scouts, which is good. It means that we'll be able to fire on the backs of them. But now all the units are coming back. So we have a little bit of a skirmisher. Drycha is back, which helps a lot. And we still have our healthy Glade Captain, which I think will be able to carry out the win, even if everything else does rout. Alright, so there we go, GG. Oh man, a little bit of a scrappy game there. I did not feel like I was in control for the majority of it. But we managed to pull through. Now, let's see if I can fix this mouse. Let's see. It has been dying on me as of late. I'll probably get a new one. But okay, let's take a look at these numbers. Drycha did okay. But yeah, really dealing with this many spear units from the High Elves is just super annoying. I'll have to figure out a better way of engaging that. Maybe Lore of Fire. Something similar could be good. Double Glade Captain is fun for sniping out heroes, but they get bogged down by spears too. The Swift Shivers, however, felt pretty nice, so thank you for that, Arrow. I'll be using them in the future. We're playing Chaos against Lizardmen. We're trying out the new halberd units. And we also have some nice anti-skirmish tools with our chaos chariots. These guys can be very effective as long as you control them well. So yeah, their effectiveness scales up a lot based on how well you control them. Even more so than cavalry, I'd say. Since if you miss micro with them, they can get barely any value at all. So that's going to be where most of my micro, that's where most of my micro will be going to. And we'll see how that goes. We're going to push our halberds back just a tiny bit so that they don't take as much damage from any ranged firepower. And then I think we're good to go. We also have a lot of skirmishers to counter skirmish any builds from the lizardmen. And if it's a box build, they'll be able to help fight against any monsters. For the lizardmen, we see Lord Croak, 2 feral Bastiladons, and a bunch of Saurus with red-crested skinks. So a little bit of those funds are missing. We'll have to see where they ended up, since Bastiladons are very cheap. I'm expecting some skirmishers, but I can see on the mini-map, which you guys actually can't see, there are some pterodons in the back. Presumably to deal with any hell cannons that I have in the background. So immediately, I'm actually feeling we have a very strong skirmish advantage here. And we can actually decide to disengage without really having to worry. Our chariots are going to push through the lizardmen front lines while our horsemen fight these pterodons. And we can just keep denying an engage while we essentially just out-skirmish the lizardmen. So hopefully that goes out well. But we'll have to be very careful not to lose any of these chariots. There we go, another charge in the back of the skinks. And our job is made easier by the fact that the lizardmen player needs to advance, since we're outgunning him with our horsemen. So there we go. These pterodon riders are nearly out. Our chariots are still relatively healthy. I think I mismicroed these guys a tiny bit by running them, leaving them in spears for too long. But otherwise, things are looking good. Oop, looks like some Saurus are getting closer, so we'll continue backing up. And at some point, we probably want to use pendulums. But okay, let's see here. I think we've actually just developed enough of an advantage here, I think, where we can just go for the killing blow now. So we don't really need to continue kiting. And instead, we're going to take some fights now. Our troops have taken much less damage than the lizardmen. And they should be able to win this frontline fight. There we go, the lines have collapsed, and a pendulum should seal the deal there. Meanwhile, our chariots are continuing to help in the fight. And nice, a very good pendulum. Kolek 2 is routing off these troops. He can even throw down a lightning bolt over there to get in a ton of damage. So there we go. Lizardmen are falling apart. We can now kill those 2 Bastiladons and dodge Croak's devastating magic. For the Lord, there is Krokgar. He's coming in hot on Kolek, but enfeebling foe should be able to take him down. Meanwhile, chariots have just about killed all of the infantry here. We're chasing off the rest with our horsemen. And if we just take these guys and throw in some javelins, I think that will be game. Let's see here. Let's just throw in another pendulum to seal the deal. And let's kill Croak too, since that will lead to army losses faster. Alright, nice. Chariots still doing good. And I think, yeah, that's actually army losses in just a second. The Lord is gone. We have tons of infantry. And there's not much else for the lizardmen to do. I think a lot of this game actually just came down to our builds. Since he didn't really have much to deal with these horsemen. And GG. It also didn't help too much that Croak is pretty expensive. I'm not sure he got a lot of value that game. Yeah, sadly, no. Let's see, I think these are Fire Leech Bolas too. And they didn't pay for themselves. Yeah, it was just a rough build to go up against, gotta say. The next game is Wood Elves against Greenskins. We have a sort of mixed build of a little bit of everything here. Some elite infantry, our front line, Durthu, Branch Wraith. There's a lot going on, but the general idea is that we want to be rushing. So hopefully we can win the frontline fight with the help of Durthu and his terror. And then from there we can push on to some archers. The Greenskins have gone for a very heavy front line. We could definitely run into some problems, but let's see. Usually in this matchup, you see cheaper infantry like Orc Boys, which should lose to these Dryads. Wolf Chariots, though, are pretty scary. And there's actually the Rogue, Big on Rogue Idol here. Is an interesting pick, I guess, sort of as an anti-skirmish option. It could work. But we're not especially afraid of it. So we're just going to charge right on in and get the fighting underway as soon as possible. This guy does not have magic damage, so our Sylvan Knights will happily take the fight versus it. And it looks like we've been able to shut down these Wolf Chariots to start off the battle. It means that our Dryads will be able to keep on fighting pretty effectively and trading upwards into the infantry without having to worry about getting shut down. Going to summon a Manticore to snipe out Azag, I guess. And then we're going to use our remaining spare cavalry to rout off the left flank. Our Blade Singers are coming in too, and they'll be able to cut down these Orc Boys no problem. And these Stone Trolls should get shut down by our Sylvan Knights and Sylvan Knights and Zotes. There we go. And it looks like that is indeed working. We have our Glade Riders on the ready to chase off those Stone Trolls, but we are beginning to lose the right flank. That is acceptable though, since we are really just pushing in to shut down the back line. And that can be done by... that can be done by just breaking one of the flanks. Nice, it looks like the Wolf Chariots are going to be running off the map now too. And Durthu looks to be winning his fight. Actually, he's trading about even into the Rogue Idol. Just a little bit worrying. But we can leave him there for quite a while longer. And he stops it from throwing rocks, which will be good. Stone Trolls are coming in on top of Durthu though, so we'll have to worry about that. Let's see, and I guess we'll make it so that our Blade Singers do more damage. Since a lot of the Greenskins aren't very armored, we'll throw in a heal on top of that big group over here. And now I'm starting to think about protecting Durthu. Going to send in our cavalry to save him by charging this Rogue Idol. And then we're going to, let's have our Blade Singers fight these Orc Boys over here. So nice. We still would very much like to kill Warzag though, so let's get our Branch Wraith over there to finish him off. And then as soon as he's gone, I think this game should be sealed. There are still a healthy unit of Black Orcs though. But if it's just Black Orcs, our ability to cycle charge them should be able to win the day. Rogue Idol getting rampaged. I didn't even know it could do that. What is doing that anyways? Let's see here. Is that just its it's when it takes too much damage. Cool. But no problem. We managed to take it out. And with Durthu still alive, I think we're good to go. Let's throw in another heal over here though, just in case. And that might even increase our balance of power, which means that these Black Orcs won't even be able to keep on fighting. They'll just get routed at almost full HP. So all in all, that went pretty well. I think the Black Orcs as reserve was a bit of a mistake there, since it means that they just everything else routed off first. And I think the big gun was also a little bit too expensive, although it did do 1,800 damage value, which is pretty high. It was mostly just fighting dirt through the whole game, though. Let's take a look at these branch rates. They actually didn't pay for themselves, which is pretty surprising, but I guess that's Wood Elf infantry. You have to be careful with them. But our Blade Singers did okay. And otherwise, yeah, it went alright. Sylvan Knights, though. Absolutely amazing. Look at that. Full HP, almost 2k value. They're definitely good. First. So our next game is up against the Wood Elves as Chaos. We've brought a ton of Marauder Horsemen. I feel like picking 6 every game is a very safe option for me while I'm still learning the faction, since you can't really go wrong with these guys. Of course, your opponent can punish you for taking so many skirmishers, but it means that most cheeses against Chaos won't be too much of a problem. For our Lord, we have Sartorial and Final Transmutation to deal with boxes. And he also has an insane amount of missile resist to make sure he doesn't die to any archer fire. We have some cavalry too that will just be acting as cavalry. They can kill single entities. And they can also fight one-on-one against the Wood Elf cavalry, but we'll have to be a bit careful there since you don't want these guys taking too much damage. And I think that's basically it. If I haven't touched on the chariots yet, we want to get them on top of Way Watchers or Deep Wood Scouts, or something similar. For our opponent, he has a very small army. So let's see what it looks like. An army this big actually tells me it's pretty likely a box, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like he actually went pretty wide and has opted for a good amount of Hawk Riders. Interesting. A bunch of Hawk Riders and Glade Guard. Agbane tips. So best way to deal with those guys will just be bringing in our horsemen to counter skirmish while our infantry gets in on the fight. We want to be constantly moving with these guys, otherwise they can take some pretty big damage, like you see there. But if we keep dancing with them, it means that most of the damage from the Wood Elves can be negated. And especially with this many skirmishing units here, it's pretty important that we negate as much damage as possible. It'll buy us time to advance at the very least, and it wastes their ammunition, which can be very important in the late game, because without ammo they won't really be able to fight my infantry. So there we go. Looks like we've managed to push them back. Let's bring our chariots in together, and let's keep trying to dodge these arrow shots. It's like we get most of that volley out of the way, no problem, but they're still doing a lot of damage. However, these guys are grouping up, which means that a final transmutation could be in order. Let's bring the Mirror Guard back so that they don't get charged to death. Then let's see how this goes. Oh, it looks like some great Stag Knights are over here. And shut them down with our horsemen. And then let's just rush in with Sartorial. He has not too much to worry about. You can just charge in and just throw down a final transmutation here. Then I think we're good to go. We'll overcast it, since these guys are pretty grouped up, which means that we can get a lot of value there. And taking out models, it means that we have less archer shots to worry about. Let's see, our Mirror Guard can go ahead and fight the Treekin. And Sartorial, you probably want to be fighting something other than spears. So we'll pull him out, bring in our horsemen, put them into position. And then just cycle charge with these Chaos Knights. Let's see here, our chariots too can chase away the Glade Riders since they have high armor and won't be taking too much damage. And I think we're doing pretty good so far. Ooh, there are some Blade Singers there though. But we can charge them in the back and that should give them a lot of trouble. Meanwhile, our chariot over here is doing very well as a distraction. And we actually have a chariot too for the Blade Singers. So let's send that in and see what damage it can do. Likely not too much since it looks like it is about to rout. But otherwise, I'd say things are going pretty good. Who's the Lord? It looks to be Drycha. So a little bit something to worry about. But the Wood Elves are losing infantry quickly. See, let's bring in those Marauders to just shield against the Glade Riders. We're pretty happy with our Marauders just taking shots there, since it means our more expensive units will be kept safe. Specifically, our Marauder Horsemen, who can just fire away with no real worries. But this fight over here looks like it's starting to get pretty rough. There is a lot of value there coming in from the Wood Elves. And I think I'm going to have to bring back these those Chaos Warriors, since they they can't chase the tree men for the rest of the game. We need more help over here. So hopefully they get back in time, and then they can tip the balance of this fight, which is actually already starting to go in my favor due to the constant fire of these horsemen. So maybe things are going better than I expected here in the center. I'm going to charge them in to get some damage in on these units running away. And we're going to pull back our Chaos Knights with lances again. Make sure that they don't take too much damage. Blade Singers are coming back. We have Chariots still to deal with them. And let's see, we have a Chariot unit over here, over chasing some Glade Riders. So we're going to bring that back. We have another final transportation too. And I think if we just throw that right on top of Drycha, we should be able to catch the majority of the infantry. Although maybe that was... maybe that's just not getting enough value, since really I'm just killing Drycha with that. Since the rest of the units are being chased off. But I think we've secured enough of an advantage where that's not too much of a problem. And now at this point, I think our mobility should be stronger than the Wood Elves too. The Glade Riders will have to run away from my Marauder Horsemen. And it looks like we actually managed to catch quite a few of them. Meanwhile, these horsemen can move downwards to intercept those Glade Riders. And Sartorial can finish off Drycha, which means that we should be able to get the win as soon as she goes down, since it looks like army losses is on the way. There we go, we've chased off those Glade Riders. By splitting up our horsemen, we've been able to corner them. But man, Drycha is just fighting like a beast. She's actually surprisingly hard to take down. Summons a unit of Dryads too. But I don't think there's much that can happen here aside from some insane pendulum lineups. Caught off another group of Glade Riders. There's only 2 left. And they're at pretty low ammunition. So I think we're good to go. Sartorial doesn't really have to worry about Drycha either, since he has magic resist. And with army losses, we have GG. Nice. Nice. So, yeah, very important lesson on why you should take 6 horsemen. You can see your opponent can take a bunch of skirmishers too. And if we didn't have something like this, they would be able to just shoot essentially whatever they wanted, killing off my warriors or chariots or what have you. But by being able to negate the value of his skirmishers, the rest of my troops were able to win the day. And yeah, that's basically all we needed to do. For this next game, it's actually flipped, playing Wood Elves into Chaos here. We mostly just have to worry about getting our range units caught. And to make sure that doesn't happen, we have some spears. We have sisters. Well, actually, she can't really help much, but we have spears and cavalry to make sure that these guys stay safe. We've taken 2 Way Watchers for AP and 2 Deepwood Scouts to deal with Marauder Horsemen. So with all of that out of the way, I think we're pretty good. Branch Wraith 2 to heal up our cavalry. And yeah, that's basically it. It's a very small build. We'll be using the Sisters of Twilight 2 to snipe out Chaos troops. They number at almost 900, which is fairly small. So we don't have to worry about ammo conservation too much. Ooh, yeah, stating the ping in lobbies, that'd be pretty good. Having laggy games is the absolute worst. Wait. Now. Let's see here. What do we got? We got some Marauder Horsemen that we'll be sniping out in just a second. In fact, we can use the Sisters of Twilight to take them out. They're actually not moving, which means that we can unleash a brutal volley into them, taking out about 4/5 of their HP and getting them to rout immediately. Ooh, I hope my opponent wasn't typing when he shot that volley. But we're going to advance forwards to buy space to kite back into. Here, let's get just our Way Watchers and fire in at those Chaos Marauders. Let's get our cavalry to keep those Warhounds back. Meanwhile, Sisters of Twilight, you can be shooting Manticores. Should actually get, it should be pretty good. And if we can take out the Manticores, means that we will have air superiority. Blade Captain 2 will be firing in at the Manticores. And let's get in another volley on these Forsaken here. Then pull back. Now, Sisters of Twilight are engaged with these Manticores. But we're okay taking damage since we can get the healing on them. Warhounds, though, are moving in to engage my range units. We'll unload a volley onto them, which will hopefully get them taken out. Looks like they're still sticking together, though. So we'll need to bring in the Glade Captain to support. Our cavalry can slow down the advance of this infantry, though. And we can sacrifice one spear unit to buy time. Looks like Archaon is coming in hot, though, onto my branch rate. And he's getting quite a bit of damage. But we can start unleashing volleys into him now. And that should take him out. Although maybe a bit slowly. Sisters of Twilight will be firing in on Archaon. And let's see here, some Dragon Ogres here we can take out with our cavalry. These guys don't do magic damage, right? Yeah, just the ROR variant. So that's pretty good. While our infantry holds up the Chaos front line, we can also throw down a Pendulum, take them out. And we can also use our range units to take out these Manticores. I'm not really liking how much damage we're taking on the front line, though. But at the very least, our cavalry's okay. We'll throw down some healing on top of them. And then, I think with just a couple more volleys, Archaon should go down. You have to be careful not to get friendly fire in, though, onto the Sisters of Twilight. And we really want to take out Archaon, since without leadership, the Chaos should be much easier to rout. Which is very good with our Stag Knights. Our archers are getting shut down pretty hard, though. Let's get another volley in on that Manticore. But it looks like it's going to be pretty hard to hit. We're going to start moving towards this more empty and flat space, which should make things easier to dodge away from. Our cavalry wants to disengage too, now that our range units are safe. And as soon as they are out, means that we can start thinking about stabilizing. Archaon is dodging the Sisters of Twilight, but we can just land and charge to fight him in melee. Since he's so low, he's actually pretty easy to rout. Meanwhile, cavalry can deal with the rest of these guys, and the Manticore just attacked, which means that we can fire in a volley without missing. But another attack actually comes in before the volley can hit, and it misses. But you have to be very careful not to get those slow arcs of fire, since they will often miss due to those basic animations from these different monsters. Another Manticore coming in onto my branch rate, going in for another snipe, but it's low enough where we're not too worried. This rampaged Manticore get taken out by my cavalry, which is a much more consistent method of killing them. And with these Chaos Marauders on their way out. I think we should have the win here. We can chase off the Manticores too. We have a lot of ammunition left. I think we can just fire it as much as we need to without much worry. Like those hounds are taken out. We've shut down the Manticores. And we should have the game set. Nice. Let's see here. Yeah, there's not too much to worry about since we have high ammunition. So it's all about just cleaning up the rest of the Chaos forces. Oh, and GG to our opponent. Gets one last charge here from the Dragon Ogres, but they can't do much. Yeah, I think things went pretty okay. The Sisters of Twilight, they did go up against two Manticores for a second, but I didn't get a good feel of how well they fight there. So I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I think against just one Manticore, they should actually be able to do pretty well. As for our range units, they were on their way to paying for themselves. Our cavalry did okay too, except I think these Wild Riders I'd probably want to replace with Stag Knights next time. Our kiting back too felt a little bit slow, or maybe unsupported, since we had to sacrifice a bunch of Eternal Guard. What would have been better is if I was pressuring with my cavalry instead. And using these guys to slow down the infantry front line, since they can easily disengage. Ready? So Chaos against Skaven. We have a lot of DPS, and instead of Chaos Spawn, we've opted for Stone Trolls. I mean, geez. Chaos Armor Trolls this time. To deal with the Skaven. Because Wolf Rats and Kite builds exist now. That will do a lot of damage to Chaos Spawn, which makes a little bit riskier now. So to avoid that, Armor Trolls should do much better if we're getting skirmished. Forsaken will tear apart the front line, and we also have a Chariot just for good measure in case there's a lot of infantry. Should also be good against skirmishers too. Sartorial with Final Transmutation can deal with single entities. And for monsters, we have Marauder Horsemen. An important thing to do in this matchup to actually increase the effectiveness of your horsemen is to see if they can find a position in the back line of the Skaven. So let them chase off any units that route instantly. And that will be especially good just in general. You get a lot of free kills and you don't take a ton of damage. But actually getting in that position can be difficult. Let's see how it goes. It looks like he's actually opted to go for a full Vanguard build here. Very interesting. Some Triads too. Cool. And some Wolves. So, immediately, I'm feeling pretty confident about... what's it? I'm feeling pretty confident about our Chariot units here. Sartorial is pretty scary. Stone Trolls. Actually, geez, these guys are tearing apart my my troops. What's happening? Let's see here. Looks like it's sort of a mixed bag of this fighting going on. But we're seeing a lot of routes on the Skaven front. The Wolf Rats are coming in, but I think Horse Masters should be able to trade up into them. Let's see, we'll send in another unit to help out there. And we're going to be using our Chariots to cycle charge in and out of the infantry. I'm actually very happy that we decided to bring the Chariots here, since it looks like they are being quite effective. There we go, we do manage to kill the Wolf Rats, but they do a lot of damage to my Marauder Horsemen. Gonna have to be careful with Wolf Rats for sure. And let's actually chase them off. As for these Triads, we have Sartorial on top of them. So, let's see. They should get torn apart pretty quickly. And, you know what? Right now, I think we're doing pretty good. We're seeing mass routes all around from the Skaven. Sartorial is still healthy. And we have our Chariots to run over these Death Runners. Catching out some Gutter Runners with poison, too. And as long as we're not too reckless with our Horse Masters, I think we should be good to go. Stone Trolls are doing really good, although I think Chaos Spawn would have been just effective anyways. But these guys, I think they perform slightly better as long as they don't rout. So far, things are going pretty good. We'll save our final transportations for any blob fights that come later. And let's see, it looks like even Skulk is about to rout off. So far, things are just going absolutely dandy. Yeah, it turns out having full army of Eshin fighters vanguarded just can't do enough versus the chaos frontline that we gave them. Although I think I'm not sure how I feel about this Eshin build, I gotta say. It seems a little bit sketchy. And a lot of these units, they do a lot of damage, but I think the major downside is that they don't do much without support, which I feel like this army was definitely lacking a bit. For example, Wolf Rats here, with no support, they just got routed off very quickly. And all these Death Runners too, all the Death Runners, they got cycle charged, they got beamed down by trolls, and run over by the chariots. Yeah, I feel like I'd go a different build for sure. There is Tretch here, so I am smelling some memes. But yeah, definitely not something to copy. As for our build, he did do a lot of damage to the Forsaken. I have no idea how that happened. But anyways, GG. So this next game we're playing Wood Elves against Dark Elves. We have gone heavy on the infantry as a response to the usual infantry spam that we see from the Dark Elves. And we're using the new Glade Captains to deal with Scourge Runner Chariots. Way Watchers will be able to pick off priority targets that come towards us, and they have a lot of protection. Sylvan Knights will be able to kill infantry too, but they'll have to stay away from Slaaneish's Harvesters. Other than that though, I think they'll be just fine. For our opponent, they have a pretty small army of 800. And it looks like they've decided to bring a bunch of Cold One Knights, Malice Darkblade, and a Dark Sorceress. Okay, so this looks like a pretty mixed Dark Elf build. Nothing too crazy going on here. Yeah, and I could definitely run into some problems, especially these Dark Shards with, oh hey, Dark Riders. Yeah, Dark Shards with no shields are going to have a very rough time versus our Way Watchers. We're also going to fire away at the Sisters of Slaughter, getting in a lot of damage there. Position to make sure that the cavalry doesn't catch us out. And I think this is going to be a rough situation for the Dark Elves. For sure. I'm not sure there's actually a lot to deal with the Sylvan Knights either. And if we can take out these Sisters, then it means that our front line should be able to win the fight too. Let's actually deny this flank since the Sisters are there. Ooh, and I think that's a whiffed Soul Stealer too, which is pretty rough. Yeah, I'd say this is a very bad start for our opponent now. Our Glade Captains can move in now on Malice Darkblade, and let's shut down these Dark Shards with our Lord here. The Way Watchers are actually getting caught by the Sisters though. Bit of a misplay on my part. And we'll have to split up the Glade Captains to deal with the Dark Shards. These Dark Riders are unshielded, so if we get a volley in on them, that should get a lot of damage, and it does. But our Way Watchers will get collapsed in onto. It's a bit unfortunate for them. I think leaving my Sylvan Knights in the back to defend them would have been better. But they should still be good. We'll throw down a heal just so that we can avoid losing models where we can. And with some spear support, we have the Dark Riders routing off now. So, with that crisis out of the way, it looks like actually some Doomfire Warlocks are here now. Still have to bring in our spears to help over there. Our Glade Captains, though, are doing very good in that they are killing Malice before he... Oh, no, he does get to transform. Good on him. But now we can just run away from him. And I think we'll be good. Oh, it looks like our Sylvan Knights decided to stop chasing these Dark Riders. But we catch them now. And yeah, things are going okay. There have been definitely some misplays here and there. But we have Malice transformed now. Means that he'll be taking a lot of damage. Let's see who... Oh, another Soul Stealer comes in on the ground, which means we can actually avoid most of the damage there. And yeah, I guess we take out these Dark Shards with our cavalry, the Sisters of Slaughter with our archers, and then from there, we're about good to go. Malice can be ignored for the rest of the game. And yeah, we should be pretty good, but more Dark Riders are coming in onto my Way Watchers. We'll turn fire onto them, take them out, and they should be out in just a second. A Blade Storm comes in on top of my Way Watchers, showing, reminding me that I have a bad habit of not checking spells as my enemy approaches. But this small group of infantry looks like they are about to rout. We just need a big charge from these Sylvan Knights to get that going. With some Archer Fire too, that means that their leadership will be pretty low. But those sisters are actually still at half leadership, so we'll have to be a bit careful there. With some cycle charging though, means that we'll be able to avoid most of the damage, even dodging a spell there. And as long as our Lord doesn't die to Malice, then we should be good. Let's throw down a regrowth just to really make sure that doesn't happen. And then bring our Glade Captains together for some heals. Nice. Malice is still keeping it together, but he's taken a lot of damage, and I think our Way Watchers can probably finish him off at this point. Glade Captains are nearly grouped up too, which means that we can throw down a big heal on top of them. And they can use their shots to finish off this Supreme Sorceress. So there we go. Sorceress is down and routed due to army losses, and same with Malice. So GG. Yeah, I think we played that a little bit sloppily. And even if we weren't trying as hard as we could have on the micro front, I think our actual decision making could have lost us some games. This, for example, the Stag Knights, they actually got a lot of value, but they would have actually done much better killing off these Dark Shards and then cycle charging the infantry. They would be breaking fast enough where we'd be able to bring in our Eternal Guard to support them against any counter charges from these Cold One Knights or Doomfire Warlocks. So that was a little bit scary there. Our Way Watchers too got compromised a few times, and we should have left some spears in reserve nearby to defend them. Our Glade Captains too, we were a little bit too aggressive with them. So there's a lot of things that could have been punished there. But otherwise, we did alright. Our next game is Chaos against Greenskins. And we're trying a little bit of an asymmetric formation here, with our main front line over here of Chaos Warriors and a unit of Chosen, with a Gore Beast chariot to support. This should be enough to deal with Black Orcs as long as we don't get swamped by cavalry, which we'll be trying to prevent by using our Marauder Horsemen. Their strong skirmish potential will hopefully keep the cavalry at bay long enough for this chariot to get its value in. For our other flank, we have some Chaos Marauders with Aspiring Champions to buff up their leadership. Their encouraged aura, it means that these guys will be in the fight for a bit longer. And if our opponent, we want our opponent to either overcommit to this or undercommit to it. And it'll be especially good if these guys can run around the back, shut things down. But at a troop count of 650, it means that we're probably expecting a lot of elite infantry. So these guys, they probably actually can't do much. And I'm tempted to put my Marauders here to prevent any skirmishers from shutting them down. But instead we'll move our own skirmishers to the right flank. And I think that will balance things out. So there we go. I think really our only tool to deal with elite infantry are these Gore Beast chariots. And if they go ahead and die, yeah, if these chariots die, then I think we're pretty close to game over at that point versus an elite infantry ball. For monsters, we have our horsemen, so we're a lot more comfortable on that front. And now we're seeing our opponent has opted for a ton of stone trolls and a pretty small amount of skirmishers, which means we can use our horsemen to get a lot of damage here off the get-go. We want to be putting in as much damage as we can on those black orcs so that when the fighting gets started, we can actually win over there. See, I'm going to be pulling back my infantry corps so that these guys can flank, and so that we also can buy some more time for my horsemen to get damage here. While I push back these skirmishers, we can also bring the Gore Beast chariot to run amok in the back line, and then that should be good. Vindictive Glare goes in on Sartorial, but doesn't do too much damage since he has high missile and magic resist. And we can just keep pulling back. These trolls are actually a bit far away from their infantry now, which means that we can actually close in on top of them and get quite a bit of damage. See here, we're 1 Winds of Magic away from a final transmutation overcast. And there we go, we do get it. We're going to throw it onto the River Troll Hag, and we're going to bring in our chariots in here to support our horsemen. Want to get in on the other side here as quickly as possible so that they can chase off these guys as they run off the field. So we definitely don't want them to come back. And I think things have swayed in our favor pretty largely, thanks to us being able to catch out our opponent here. Have to be a bit careful though, since these skirmishers could hold up our horsemen. But to make that a bit harder, we're going to be splitting them up among the different troops that are routing. River Troll Hag does come back though, and Black Orcs are still operational with the threat of fanatics nearby, especially on my chosen. They'll have to worry about that. Grom does get routed off though. These Black Orcs are about to break due to the chariots. We've also broken off some of the stone trolls too. And our left flank of infantry, you know, they're existing and not doing too much. So let's bring them back into the main fight. And let's see if we can deal with this group of infantry here with our chariots and skirmishers. There we go. It looks like they're having a rough time too. Stone trolls are still getting chased off, which means that our horsemen there are paying for themselves intensely with a lot of value. Since the stone trolls are definitely much more expensive. More Black Orcs here and here though are still need to be dealt with. And our chariots are just going to bounce between them. Looks like I missed a route of the River Troll Hag. So let's see if we can make up for that by getting in range to stop her from coming back. Looks like that may very well be the case, which is a good position for us. And army losses for the Greenskins. So, yeah, I guess. Essentially, this game came down to the to a big misplay with an overextension of the stone trolls, which got all of them routed off. It was about a 4,000 gold swing, and with Grom 2 getting caught, it means that there wasn't much he could have done to come back. Of course, there were still many Black Orcs that were quite healthy, but we could take them out with the horsemen even if we didn't have the Gore Beast chariot there. So GG. Oh, they weren't even stone trolls. They were regular trolls. I didn't even check that. So that explains why they went down faster than I expected. And yeah, things just pretty rough for the greenskins. Definitely could have I think this build is definitely pretty vulnerable to this many horsemen. Showing once again why you want to take a bunch of these guys. You can see they even get all of their value back while staying at pretty high HP. Okay, so what could very well be the last game today. We're playing as the Wood Elves against Dark Elves once again. Our opponent has expressed that they're not a fan of the Orion aerial combo. Luckily for them, we don't feel like going with that today. Instead, we've brought a fun build with some Swift Shiver shards, a bunch of cheap cavalry, and infantry to defend our ranged units. I'm not super sure how this build will go yet. And I'm sort of worried that we don't have enough firepower, but I guess we'll see. Like he's ready. So let's get into the game. Our opponent has a very small army actually. And it looks to consist mostly of Scourge Runner chariots, which we will be sniping out with our troops. If they get close enough, we could also get a volley of Swift Shiver fire onto them, and that actually brings them down to very low HP. Our captain too is getting in a lot of damage, and we have our dryads here to support too. So with our mobility advantage, we can begin. What's it? Oh geez, our glade captain. With our mobility advantage, we can use our cavalry to cycle charge these guys. We can also use our glade captain as bait for our Swift Shiver shards. I don't know how well that worked. She actually takes a lot of damage. It's pretty worrying. And oh man, there's a lot of cavalry coming in from the Dark Elves. We'll have to keep pulling this way to avoid that fate. And I guess, you know what? Let's see if we can take out Malekith here. We've clumped up a lot, and a big Soul Stealer does come in. We'll throw in a heal to try and counteract that. And then hopefully things go okay. Let's see, the Sisters of Twilight are taking 1,000,000 damage. Jeez, absolutely getting murdered. But we have a lot of infantry here to help us out. And we managed to escape with these sisters. Here, how's our Glade Captain doing? She needs to be firing on the Cold One chariots. And you know what? I'm sort of just hoping that we're able to kill off these guys. See, we can use our Swift Shiver shards too. Take out the repeater crossbows. We just have to keep our sisters safe. And looks like some dread spears are coming in along this side. Alright. But let's see here. We should be able to, at the very least, take out these Dark Riders. We actually get an insane volley off on them over there. And we can even get a pretty nasty pendulum down on these dread spears. So that's pretty good. Sisters can continue sniping out these guys, and I think with our infantry advantage, we should be in a pretty good position. Let's see, our Sisters of Twilight are still doing good. We're shutting down the Cold One chariots. It looks like more are coming in, but we have some spears braced and ready to go. Sisters can help there too. And Swift Shiver shards can deal with these ROR sisters. There we go. That brings them down to half HP, which is good. We bogged down the hero core. We're taking out the chariots. Things are going okay. Let's move away from these. What are these? Witch elves. Looks like they have engaged my spears though. But sisters are still okay. Our Glade Captain is up too, and that means that we can probably snipe out this master who's a little bit overextended. Throw down a big heal here also. Then bring in our spears to block the cavalry. Chariots are coming in hot though. We'll have to turn our spears to brace, and another Soul Stealer does come down. I think we'll be able to take out these Dark Riders though with the Swift Shivers, and it looks like that's the case. Meanwhile, Glade Captain is helping out a ton in the single entity fight. We'll just have to get the sisters out of there to make sure that they don't take too much damage. Cold One chariots. We'll want to finish them off, and we'll want to use the captain to finish off this master too. Malekith can just get bogged down by, or Malekith and the hero squad can get bogged down by infantry. And it looks like taking all our infantry tools here was a pretty good idea. They've been able to slow down the major threats to us. And it's just been going pretty well, although this is still a pretty close fight. And Malekith is still very healthy, but at the very least, I think we'll be able to take out the Master. In fact, since he's trying to escape, we can actually get a charge in on him. And then disengage as quickly as possible before Malekith ruins our lives. Sisters of Twilight take a lot of damage, but they manage to escape. And Swift Shiver Shards are getting a lot of damage on those Warlocks. Sisters of Twilight are pretty low. We want to get them a little bit lower though, just so that we can proc their healing effect. And in just a bit, they should get healed up to full. Glade Captain is going to finish off that Beast Master over there. And geez, why are these guys taking so much damage? Let's see here. Healing is coming in soon though, but they break off. And that's suddenly very scary. If these guys shatter off the field, that would be devastating. Let's slow down a heal just to really make sure that that doesn't happen. And they do get their big heal, which means that we should be getting the sisters back in just a second. Oh my goodness, not even close, not even close. So the sisters do manage to come back. Let's see here. Some cavalry's coming our way, but with our Glade Captain, I think we can finish off the rest of these single entities here. Jeez, okay, so let's get the sisters back. We've turned off Fire at Will to save on ammunition, and we can use our Eagle Quiver ability to get in a lot of damage on Malekith. And there we go. Pretty good damage. I should have used that earlier, actually. And there we go. Nice. Nice. A little bit of a dicey game there. We did not account for that much cavalry in the forest. That almost led to tragedy. We also really misplayed with our cavalry, letting them get caught out by being too aggressive with them. And we almost misplayed with the sisters, but even if they had routed off, I think our Glade Captain could have carried it out. So there we go. Jeez. How well did our Swift Shiver Shards do? Amazing. Wow, look at that damage. That's pretty good. So nice. Yeah. Something that I learned a while ago is that, oh, I should end the stream. But yeah, taking a lot of infantry as the Wood Elves can definitely pay off. And usually people aren't always ready for it. So GG, that's it for today. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. And I'm going to see if I can raid some other multiplayer stream.